Hi, everyone. SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are going to take a look at the Sugar Bowl right now. Oklahoma State and Ole Miss with professional sports bettor Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers, Oklahoma State, played great for about 3/4 of the season. Then they lost their last 3 in a row ATS. Before that, though, they had been on a 6-1 ATS run. So the question is, are they going to continue that ATS losing that they exhibited at the end of the season, or revert back to how they were in the heart of the season? A team with decent betting value, and they're getting big points here, right? 7 or 7.5 is the market-wide line, and the total is all over the place. I checked SBR odds before this call. I saw 67, 67.5, 68, and 68.5. All available market-wide, and even the sharp books way in disagreement here. Pinnacle hanging 67, the Greek at 68.5. So it's a little bit of a confusing bowl, a little bit of an interesting handicapping situation. Maybe there's big value to be had one way or another. What do you think, Teddy?
But in general, I have no hesitation supporting teams like Oklahoma State that had a good season but didn't play well down the stretch.
Right.
You give teams like that a month off to rest, recuperate, and get back their mojo. And they oftentimes tend to be something of an undervalued commodity and play well at this time of the year, because the betting markets look at them, oh, they collapsed. Oklahoma State, they stunk,
Yeah.
and the money pours in against them, as we've seen here with Ole Miss taking the early money, despite the suspension of their NFL-bound defensive tackle.
Why do you think Ole Miss is taking so much money? I mean, Ole Miss was not like some kind of like a giant killer of a team this year, and Oklahoma State, yeah, they struggled down the stretch, but in general, they were seen as a team. I mean, at times they had legitimate hopes to make the college football playoffs. Why do you think money has come in on Ole Miss?
I think the money's come in on the Rebels in large part due to what I've been reading about their bowl preparation this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one situation where, you know what? Last year's bowl game really matters, because we saw Ole Miss last year, not just a no-show. I mean, they were wiped out, 42-3 by TCU. The game was over by halftime. They were complete no-shows. There's been a lot of talk of that, about that, by Hugh Freeze, by his staff, by the players on the roster. They returned, 16 starters from that team. So the emphasis this year is, let's not let that happen again. And it's an Ole Miss team that, from all indications, is focused and is ready to bring their A game. And Ole Miss A game, look, was good enough to beat Alabama.
Sure.
I don't know that Okie State's A game was good enough to beat Alabama. So, I mean, that Rebels defense is as fast sideline to sideline as you're going to find in the country. And that's maybe a concern. I'm a big Mason Rudolph fan. I don't know that Okie State can compete in this one. I would lean towards Ole Miss minus the points. I understand why the money has come on the Rebels thus far.
Okay, thanks for your thoughts on this, Teddy Covers. Ole Miss -7. Do you have anything to say about the total? The only reason I ask is just because it's so interesting to me how uncertain the market appears to be right now.
I wouldn't be in any rush to bet this game over the total.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my bet here is as much on the Rebels' defense as any other factor. That's an elite unit. And while Oklahoma State, their defense kind of fell apart down the stretch in their last 2 games, and particularly the game against Oklahoma, where they just couldn't get any stops. I don't look at the Ole Miss offense as being this unstoppable unit. So lean would be towards the under for the total. And as you mentioned, if you're betting under, find a 68.5.
Yeah.
If you're betting over, look for those 67s. Widely divergent lines in the betting markets as we speak.
All right, but Teddy Covers' lean on this one is Ole Miss. Market also split on the side. 7 or 7.5 is the market-wide line. Ole Miss -7 would be Teddy Covers' lean. Thanks so much, Teddy.